Good evening. This is a special edition of Political Forum, and I am your host, Dartesia Pitts. I am your host, but I'm also the outgoing president of the Cook County Bar Association, and I have today with me the outgoing, immediate past president of the Black Women's Lawyers Association of Greater Chicago, Erika Kirkwood. Hey, Erika.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, thank CAN TV and the board of CAN TV for inviting us on. Today, we are talking about judges, and we are going to continue the discussion on how important the Cook County Circuit Court judicial election and selection is for you. We're going to talk about voter awareness, the importance of judicial diversity. So I encourage you to call us now, engage in the conversation at 312-738-1060. We're going to start this off. Erika, tell the people a little bit about who you are.
So I'm Erika Kirkwood, the immediate past president of the Black Women Lawyers Association of Greater Chicago, Inc. There I was on the board for several years before I became president. I am also the vice president and general counsel at GMA Construction Group, a commercial construction company here in Chicago. We're in Bridgeport and we do projects all across Chicago. We are working on some really amazing projects right now, and I'm very happy to be their general counsel. I used to work at the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago. So I've been a government attorney and then I went in-house. So thank you so much for having me. This is a very important topic. There were no Black women lawyers selected for the associate judge list this time around, and it's a very important topic. So I'm happy to be here speaking on it.
And I am happy to be here with my simultaneous bar leader as well.
Right.
As most of you know, I'm Dartesia Pitts. I am actually immediate past board member of CAN TV as well. This is always a great community service effort in them bringing awareness about people and topics affecting the city of Chicago and the county of Cook. We have a caller already, and we haven't even gotten into the meat of it all. Give us one more second, caller. One of the things I wanted to say that in May, the circuit court judges elected 17 associate judges from a list of 34 finalists, of which 10 were African American. So you might have seen the headlines all across the papers that no African American associate judges were elected in that associate classes. But when the ballots were counted, like I said, no African Americans were voted. There was a runoff between two African American men, judicial candidates, and like Erika said earlier, no African American women were selected at all. The circuit judges instead elected 3 Hispanic candidates, 2 members of the Asian American legal community, and several lawyers of other ethnicities. Before we start, I want to say we congratulate those who have won.
Yes.
We are here to support everyone, but it is in a county as diverse as Cook County, there is concern when the representation does not look like the communities that it serves on our judiciary.
Yes.
Erika, you have anything else to add?
Yes, I just want to add that I think that the associate judge list should reflect the diversity that we have in our county. We have a very rich history of Black women lawyers and Black male lawyers and all the other diverse groups. And to think that these particular groups of people were omitted from the list completely suggests to the public that it might not be a priority to give them judges who look like themselves. So.
And I think that's one of my biggest concerns when you look at the results of the associate judge election.
Right.
We're not judges, so we didn't have a ballot in the associate judge election process.
Right.
The people did not vote for the associate judges,
Right.
but the results speak for themselves.
Yes.
And I think that is why we should be concerned about what our judiciary is doing behind the scenes to elect the associate judges, but then as the people, we're us getting engaged in voting for circuit court judges that can fulfill the will of the people.
Yes.
So we have a caller. Let's take our caller.
Hello. So my initial question was, I wanted to ask you all if the associate judges represents diversity of Chicago, but since you all already answered it, and although it does represent a bit, it's not inclusive. That's what I got out of it. But I just want to ask you all, why is it important for associate judges to represent the diversity of Chicago, and what can we do to increase the amount of African American associate judges in Chicago?
Well, I'll speak to why we feel like diversity is important. We have so many types of cases. I mean, breach of contract cases, criminal cases, and in a lot of these instances, we have minorities who are widely represented in this. On the defense side, they are maybe the victims of crimes. They are, sometimes defending themselves against people who might be saying that they have committed some type of crime. And it's important to understand that when you're facing a judge, you want to be sure that they're being fair to you. And if you go through a judicial system that only looks like people who don't look like you, you might insinuate that the system might not be fair because of the color of your skin. So it's very important that when you have people in the judiciary, that that fairness is there and that you perceive that that fairness is there.
And I agree. I agree with Erica. It's important, a supporting tool. Diversity is an important factor for the administration of justice. Even if you're not before a judge, if you're a jury, if you're a trier of fact and you're helping resolve a case, and you see a judge who may not have enough diversity from their background presiding over a case, everybody wants a fair judge that has a diverse background, or at least can have some level of sensitivity to the diverse litigants and practitioners that stand before them. So diversity is very important. The second part of her question was about how do we get a diverse associate judge, or more diverse associate judges on the bench?
Well, I think in addition to just getting more associate judges, the public actually picks the full circuit court judges. So let's talk about that first. The bar associations have built this alliance of bar associations, and I've listed them. It's the Asian American Bar Association, Black Women Lawyers, CCBA, the Cook County Bar Association, and a multitude of other diverse bar associations, and they do judicial evaluations. So whenever people want to become judges, they come to the Alliance, and the bar associations do evaluations on them. And then they issue ratings, whether that's highly qualified, well qualified, recommended, not recommended, qualified or not qualified. And there's even some bar associations that give a not evaluated. So maybe they didn't have time, or the interview was canceled. And we interview the judges one by one, and we have a set of factors, whether that's experience, sensitivity to diversity, whether they've had any complaints in their background or went before the ARDC, which is the board that governs attorneys, or their issues that they have with the public. And then we ask them multiple questions, and we try to figure out if they're going to be qualified to be a part of the judiciary. And then we post those ratings, and those ratings are available to the public. So as an informed voter, you want to seek out those ratings. And I think Dartesia has the website where you can find all of the Alliance ratings. And once you're informed about those ratings, then you can make an informed decision.
Absolutely. The ratings let you know on a base level if that judge is qualified. And you can look it up on, give you a quick website. This is voteforjudges.org. It is a impartial, apolitical website. It has a summary of all of the judges, all of the Bar Association evaluation and ratings. It tells you, why vote for judges, what is a judicial election, where can I get more info, and this is where you can get judicial evaluation results. So this is definitely a place to start. One other thing, Erica said something very important, and that was that you, the public, if you were ever before a judge and you had an issue with the judge's temperament, abuse of authority, behavior in the courtroom, maybe they said something that was way inappropriate and maybe non-judicious, you can call one of these bar associations or all of them or send a letter and let them know what happened, who the judge was, what date it was, what case it was, so that they can make a note of that for that particular judge's file. So when the evaluation comes back up, you can say, hey, the lawyers who evaluate them can say, hey, this person has a reputation of being whatever. So engage in the process. We do have another caller, though. Caller?
Yes, I understand you both are affiliated with established law organizations, so you probably have had conversations with fellow lawyers and judges. I'm interested to hear what the reaction is of these people of the news that there are no associate judges elected who are African American.
I would start on this one. I would say that members of the Cook County Bar Association they were very disappointed with the election results. Considering there were 10 African Americans who were a part of that short list or final list of candidates of 34 to fulfill 17 vacancies, a third of the list were African Americans. And by the way, everybody on the list was qualified. Everyone had been deemed qualified. They passed all the tests. They jumped through all the fiery hoops. But to see that our judiciary, and again, I don't know what happened behind the scene. I'm not a judge.
Right.
I don't have a vote. I think that as professionals and as African American professionals, they were upset with that lack of commitment to make sure that all the communities were represented. When you mute the voice of the African American lawyer and perspective, you ultimately mute the voice of the community. And for whatever reason, we're here today, we're engaged in a discussion so that we can get it right.
Right. And I'll just say, I think the legal community as a whole were disappointed. There are proponents on both sides. I spoke to several judges. They've expressed that they're horrified and mortified at the outcome. I think that everyone was very surprised, and that these 10 black women and men were very qualified. We had people who have been practicing for over 20 years. And to see that not one of them made it to the list was very disappointing. Also to see, I think 2 of them were sitting judges. To see that their peers didn't select them was also disappointing. So on both sides, judges that we knew were disappointed, as well as the legal community.
And I think this is why it's great that we're here today, because Erika was a leader in her organization. I was a leader in mine. But I think that this is is symbolic that in order to create the diversity necessary throughout the legal community, not just in this public service area, but in these firms as well, that there is a necessity for us all to coalesce and build bridges, so to speak, so that we can help each other, and so that the lawyers who are trained in fairness, equity, justice, all those ideals, so that we can get it right, because the community looks to us for that leadership. Erika, you mentioned something earlier about associate judges being different than a full circuit county judge. Can you give the people an idea, explanation of what a full circuit county judge is?
Yes, so the associate judges actually just hear cases that are, a lower level case. They don't hear, capital cases or huge cases like breach of contracts for $80 million or something like that. Although the Supreme Court can delegate that they can hear those cases. Associate judges also have 4-year terms, and they are selected by all of the circuit court judges. They're voted on, and even their retention is voted on by all of the circuit court judges.
So they get reelected.
Yes,
By the
by the
circuit.
same group, right, by all of the circuit court judges. The circuit court judges are elected. So that goes back to what we were saying about the caller's question. Those are selected by the people, and you have the ability to retain or not retain those judges. And I think they have 6-year terms too, so there's a further distinguishment on those judges. So you just want to make sure when you're going to vote for retention, and that's coming up in November, you don't want to click yes for everybody. You have to be informed. You have to go to this website that Dartesia pulled up and figure out, what do the bar associations say? What do the bar associations that look like you say? And that's very important.
Okay, I just went to the website again.
So
That's
you can see it on the screen.
www.voteforjudges.org. Impartial, apolitical organization that puts that information out there. You can also go to BWLA's website,
Yes.
which is
BWLA.org. The judges, our ratings of the judges will be up shortly. We take them down and we update them. We recently have evaluations on a weekly basis. So we want to keep you guys informed, especially when it's election time. You want to go there and go to BWLA.org and just print off all of our ratings there.
And of course, you can go to www.cookcountybar.org. We actually keep our ratings up there for a while, so you can get you can print them and download them for your information and education and making a decision about what judge to vote for. So outside of the associate judge process and full circuit county judge process, and before I go on to that, if you're just tuning in now, you tuned in to a special edition of Political Forum. I'm your host, Dartesia Pitts. I'm the president of the Cook County, or the outgoing president of the Cook County Bar Association. And I'm sitting here with
Erika Kirkwood, immediate past president of the Black Women Lawyers Association of Greater Chicago.
I was going to go into, it's one more process. So when the people don't get it right, and the diversity is not reflected within our votes, which recently occurred March 20th, you have pages and pages of judges to vote for. You're voting for full circuit judges then. And if, our judiciary, they don't get it right, a third of the judges are associate judges, and full circuits vote for the associate judges. It's one more way. And that is through the Illinois Supreme Court appointment process.
Yes.
So do you want to talk about that, or I can let them know?
Yeah, you can tell them
Okay.
about the Supreme Court process.
So we have 9 Illinois Supreme Court justices, and they have the power to appoint for a judicial vacancy. So normally what happens is they're filling a term or the remainder term of a judicial vacancy that may be vacant because, of death, illness, retirement, or whatever the case. And what happens in that case is that whoever they appoint, they are a full circuit judge with full circuit judicial voting rights and power until that term is over, and they then have to run. Right. So if we can't get diversity from the other 2 processes, then we can always depend on the Illinois Supreme Court to make sure that we have a qualified, diverse judicial branch through their appointments.
And that recently happened, right?
Yeah.
We just had a recent appointment.
Absolutely, we did. The other day, I got the news today, but it might have come out.
I was talking about the vacancy of Justice Freeman. We had Justice Neville.
Illinois Supreme Court Justice Neville. That was for the appointment for the Illinois Supreme Court. But I also heard that we just had another vacancy filled. Nicole Patton just got.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so there are ways that the system kind of fixes and balances itself, but you still need to become engaged if you are a member of the community to understand this process. It's difficult for us.
It's difficult for us.
We have another caller though.
Yes, and good evening, young ladies, and how you doing? And thanks for also taking this call. Let me just say, I think voting for judges is probably the most unfair way to vote for us. I mean, y'all don't get the attention like the governor's, the mayor's race, the president's race. I know you don't have that kind of money, but I think they need to make the playing field just a little bit better than what it is. See, I'm an older guy. If I don't see things on TV or the radio, show you how old I am. I get 4 papers every day. I still get my papers delivered, and I read my papers. So we don't get a chance to get the fair chance to be able to pick judges. You know, you go with your alderman or in your ward, you know, you try to go along with that, but yet and still, it's so hard to pick. I hate to even tell you what my old system that I used to have, but I don't have that system anymore, thank the Lord. But again, they need to make it just a little bit more even for y'all, because trust me, half of us don't know who we voting for or anything like that. So
Okay,
again,
caller, let us answer your question, okay? Let us
all right,
answer
let
your
me get out
question.
there so I can hear it. Thank you
for
for
calling
taking the
in.
call.
Okay. Sorry about that. Wrong button.
We're live.
But there is information out there to help assist the voter in making a determination about the judges.
Yes, but even, kind of like the caller said, it's not widely publicized like these other elections, and there are multiple reasons for that. But I do think that is an issue as well, because here we are, telling you to go to a website to find this information where when the elderly gentleman said, he's older, I mean, maybe he doesn't have access, to an online system. So I do think there should be a better way to keep people informed about the ratings, maybe a mailer or something like that.
I think what ultimately happens with getting the information out to the voters is what he said is it's economics.
Yes.
It's expensive. Judges, unfortunately, cannot ask for money. So they have to have a team that works behind them that make the donations. From my understanding, judges can't even know during a campaign or judicial candidate, they can't even know, if you're sitting on the bench for sure, who made a donation, because they have to stay objective. But some of the ways that you can find out about who is on your ballot is the editorial board endorsements, because the newspapers make endorsements.
Yes.
The party slating, sometimes, or not sometimes, the Democrats and Republicans all slate and send out mailers. But see, they have the money. They have the money for that. I do know that Cook County Bar Association, we have gone to churches. We have appeared on other radio stations in the city pushing our evaluations. Phone a friend. Find a friend like Erika. Find a friend like me, Dartesia, and ask them, a lawyer friend.
Right.
Ask
or a
them.
professional who knows a lawyer.
Right.
And just ask them, hey, who are you voting for? I have several family members and friends who are older, and, they don't want to go online. They say, hey, who do I vote for? And, I pull the ratings and tell them, hey, this is how people decided. This is how the bar associations decided. So please phone a friend. I mean, that's a good takeaway from today. If you don't know an attorney, find one.
Yeah. And definitely, like I said this the other day, know before you go. The goal is to know who the judicial candidates are, what their reputation is, before you step into the poll, so that you can be an informed voter. And so we won't see these headlines about the lack of diversity, or we won't see these headlines about judges who are going beyond their authority or involved in inappropriate activity, but yet they still sit on the bench, or judges that may not be qualified. So it's about knowing before you go. Erika, we're about to wrap up. Do you have any closing remarks about judicial diversity or about anything?
Yes, I think diversity on the judiciary is very important for a multitude of reasons, which we've discussed today, and I think the community feels the same way. So we gave you a couple tips today. Phone a friend is a great takeaway, and also this website that Dartesia pulled up with all of the bar associations' ratings. Trust your bar associations, the bar associations who look like you. We are here to help. We're here to look out for you, and we interview all of these judges, and it's not just for us, it's for our community. So please go to bwla.org. We post the ratings and go to these other websites and try to know before you go.
So, and last but not least, Dartesia Pitts, Cook County Bar Association, oldest association of black lawyers and judges in the country. Make sure you know before you go, get informed about your judges, and be engaged in the process. And our legal professionals, I look forward to working with you all so that we can coalesce and ensure that judicial diversity is always front and center to ensure that all communities are represented. Thank you for tuning in and join Political Forum, same bat time, same bat channel next week. Have a good day.
Thank you.